Thank you for tuning in to the Online Edge podcast, the only podcast that seeks to answer the question, how many bubbles does a Coca-Cola produce? All right, everybody. So today we are going to be talking about we're like right now while this is being recorded, we're a couple of days after the election, and stuff's going crazy, and people are counting and people are recounting, and the world is in a weird spot right now.
We got COVID going on, people shutting down again. Yeah, craziness.
So I wanted to talk about being a business in kind of unprecedented, crazy times because there's a lot of opportunity right now to stand out in positive ways. And there's some opportunities right now to kind of crash and burn. And so we wanted to talk through all of that. I'm going to ask you a few questions, but before I do, I want to say one thing. When the world is kind of in a negative place, when you can lead with positivity, you stand out. And if you can stand out with positivity, that's a really amazing way of kind of setting yourself apart. So right now, it doesn't matter what news station you go to, it's going to be negative. Yep. It's going to be crazy.
It doesn't matter what social media platform you're jumping onto. There's everything everywhere going crazy.
And so if you're able to take something and word it that much more encouraging, positive, encouraging people to almost be self-reflective, that kind of stuff, quieting the world around them for a little bit. If that makes sense for your brand, and for many brands it will, man, I would encourage that, because that is a way of standing out. That's maybe the way of standing out in crazy times. A lot of times, Luke, when wild stuff takes place, people don't know what to say, and so they don't say anything, and instead of using it as an opportunity, they cut back and become quieter during that, because it's like, well, how do I even say anything right now?
Yeah.
One of the and this is a terrible example, but a good example. One of them was surrounding September 11th, because everything felt inappropriate. And we're not in that. That's not what's happening right now. Thank goodness. But everything felt inappropriate. And so people didn't know what to say during all that. Yeah. Late night shows they were still there talking, but they weren't funny, and they weren't meant to be. Radio talk show stuff that was funny before stopped. Like, that wasn't what they were doing anymore. They were just kind of talking and commentating on what was taking place and that kind of thing. That I don't use that as an example to say, stop doing anything and start commentating on stuff now. That was a different situation, a different time. And any type of humor whatsoever was inappropriate at that point. That's not the case right now. However, it is, I am seeing a lot of brands kind of pull back, and not utilize this kind of time to still put something out there into the world, because they feel like, well, we're not commenting on what's taking place. It just kind of feels inappropriate. And I actually think at this particular time in human history, it's not. People just need to have the right message. So all that being said, what do you feel like right now are some ways that businesses can communicate? And does their message need to change at all right now with everything that's happening?
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you think, because we've both seen this and we've talked about it a little bit, do you think people should be, whether on their personal, as the business owner or manager or whatever, or as a company, should be taking even a political stance right now? As far as, because we've both seen it. We've both seen people be very aggressive one side or the other, be very vocal about how they feel. Yeah. Should people be, if you own a business or you manage a business, should you be completely out of that right now? Is that
so? For the most part, the answer is yes, because the country's so divided. I will make a caveat. If you know your customer and that you're going to get rewarded for that, and that you've built a reputation where your customer expects that and receives that and appreciates that, then go for it.
Yeah.
Then go for it. So I've seen both sides. I'm not going to give a bunch of specific examples.
But you're talking about more, I think, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't that be more of a larger corporation set up where we're talking about small business
probably
in the community.
Yes. So I'll word it this way. If you are if you serve people that man, my customers are a reflection of my city. So it's kind of split. It might be 60-40 split,
right?
Which a 60-40 split in political terms is huge. That's an enormous split. And yet, do you want to lose 40% of your customers? No.
Right.
It'd be huge to you as well. So all that being said, you might live in a state or a city that you're like, man, this is a blue city. Or you might be living in a state or a city where you're like, man, this is a red city. All that being said, you need to make sure that you are staying true to, hey, I want to still serve both sides of the aisle in this situation. And so I'm going to hold my personal beliefs and my personal stuff to myself right now, because I'm going to want to make sure that I'm serving who everybody that I want to serve.
Yeah.
If that's not the case, maybe you've built a business based off of your political beliefs. And I've seen construction companies do that. I have seen restaurants do that. I've seen all sorts of different things do that. Coffee shops do that, everything. If you can pull that off and you feel like you're going to get rewarded for that and business is going to build because of it, rock on with your bad self. Pull it off. Okay. But we're talking about 1% of businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like most people get themselves in too much trouble.
We're probably legitimately talking about like 1 out of 1,000 businesses in real terms, because it's just you're not going to get rewarded for that.
Yeah. I just feel like there's too many people out there that are going to look at something that you said in that aspect and take it the wrong way or whatever. And it's not going to necessarily affect, like, it's not going to give you a positive outcome in most situations that I'm thinking of in small business.
But let me give you an example of when you can get political and it's fine.
Okay.
I have seen both sides posting funny memes of how long it's taking to count ballot results in Nevada. That's pretty good. And it's just funny.
Yeah, yeah.
It's funny to everybody.
Yeah.
I can look at that, and if I'm an American, I can think that's funny.
Sure.
And so that gives you an opportunity to still be present and commenting on something, and sharing very stuff that people are going to interact with, and maybe even say, "Hey guys, our business has people who voted for both. However, this is funny. I don't care who you are." Something to that effect works, and it works. Period. But you just want to be very, very careful that your political leanings and biases are not. You probably want to serve both sides regardless. After all the dust settles, it's like I'd rather everybody show up.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if that's the culture that you're building, and it probably is, man, stay disciplined during this time and make sure that you're still talking. You're being, man, be a voice of positivity, be a voice of unity that's bringing people together through all this. And I have found, on the local level, most of the time, things are a lot more united than they are on the national level. And so reminding people of that makes you a leader in the community.
That's good.
And so these are opportunities to step into a leadership role in your community where people know, regardless of what my leanings are, I'm welcome here. And also, this business owner, I want to support them because they're standing kind of for unity in times that don't feel so united. And I think that's a great
great way to look at that
to move forward.
Sure.
Now let me ask you this. We've seen mistakes through all this. What are some things that you've seen that have been, that you feel like have worked, that not necessarily talking about the political scene, just period. Like, hey, a business they're still moving and grooving, and they are putting out content right now that people are interacting with. Even though there's a lot of distractions taking place, they somehow have kind of risen above the noise.
There's not many of them, to be honest.
Yeah. Agreed.
There really is not. It's really what you came back to at the beginning, where it feels like a lot of people have really gone silent.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of companies posting at the moment, but the few that have, I think really have fallen into the line of being, what's the word that I'm looking for? Optimistic towards the future.
Okay.
Just bringing it back down to the basics of, hey, we're still open.
Yep.
We're still here to serve you. We're going to do everything possible to make sure that you're safe and we keep ourselves safe and we keep everybody, that's going to interact with us in a safe way. Like we're going to take care of that. But other than that, to be honest, I really haven't seen much.
Yeah, I think it goes back to there's four different possibilities. I'm going to pick a side, and I'm going to hopefully
that's what most, if I see somebody post in that aspect, it is political.
Yeah.
It's, it's just people are getting into that slippery slope of going down something where you're going to piss potentially a lot of people off, or you may get into here's my concern with it, is that you get yourself into a potential arguing match, or something that should never be, done if you're in a business situation like that. Like, as much as I hate to say
it's not professional.
It's not professional.
Right.
There's gonna be people that are gonna look back at that later, or even if you delete it, there's all of the people that have seen it,
right,
that are gonna go, was that really necessary, or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, I feel like it's better to not go down that road of being political in any aspect than it is to go down that road.
I agree. Here's what I would say. Obviously, there's you can pick the side of political. That's choice number one. You can just be you and not hold anything back, and kind of just, hopefully if you know your customers in your area well, you get rewarded for it. That's a possibility. That is few and far between, is what you're hearing us say over and over and over again. We've seen it done, and we've seen it done poorly, and in all likelihood, you probably want to serve everybody. The other one is what we've already mentioned, which is just kind of being shy and not knowing what to say, and things are a little bit crazy, so you just kind of back off and don't say anything.
Or, if I can cut you here, or what it is just business as usual.
Well, that was the third.
Yeah.
So the second one would be, I don't know what to say, so I don't say anything, and I just kind of disappear. That is never a good thing. That's for sure. The first one is, it's probably not you. The second one is, it's not you. Don't disappear. Do not disappear. The third one is exactly what you just said. It's moving forward. It is business as usual. It's not acknowledging anything whatsoever. It's just kind of, boom, I'm going to do what we've always done. It worked in the past. It's going to work now, and just move forward. I would err on this one than the second one, than just disappearing. But this is probably not the answer either. The answer is to do something that speaks to where we're at right now, but at the same time, if you're funny, then take a humorous slant on it. If you're somebody who's just a natural encourager, and you build people up, whoever you're around, they're going to leave feeling 10 feet tall, then encourage people during this time. If you are somebody who challenges people and you want to challenge the way that they think, then go that route. If I was a fitness club right now, I'd be challenging the way people think right now. Hey, right now, this is what separates people from who get results and who don't get results right now. And
that's a really good. And if you're a gym, take that.
Yeah.
Run that.
Yeah. I mean, challenge people to think beyond themselves, beyond where they're at right now, and moving into the future. Now, that doesn't make sense for everybody, but it makes sense for a lot of people.
Yeah,
my
really
kids' teachers are talking like that. Like, you can shrink back right now, or you can press forward, and my kids come home feeling like champions. That's awesome. and they're giving their all this year, more than literally more. I've got a kindergartner, so that's one thing. It's his first shot at this thing, but he's doing great.
Yeah.
But my 10-year-old, man, he's got an intensity he hasn't had before. And to a certain degree, it's because he's seeing other people. Kids can sense that nervousness as well. He's seeing other people kind of shrink back, and he's like, not me. And so, and that's due to having a couple of parents who are encouraging him along the way, and teachers encouraging him along the way, not letting you settle. No, dude, we're not going to hold back right now. We're going to press forward.
Yeah, that's good.
So you can take the challenging stuff. You can challenge people. You can encourage people. You can build people up. You can inform people. You can do a whole lot of different stuff. But I would probably not ignore where we're at right now. I would lead. And as a business owner, and as a business, and somebody who speaks into a business, runs a business, works a business, all that kind of stuff, you are already a leader. So assume that role, because people are looking for people to follow right now. And you don't have to have a political agenda to be a leader. We kind of think about that sometimes in these terms. Most leaders aren't political leaders.
Yeah,
most leaders are business leaders, or leaders of families, and that kind of stuff. So assume that role, and you're going to find people find comfort in that. And instead of just kind of scrolling past you, they're going to see what you're doing. You're going to add value to their lives in some shape, form, or fashion. Again, if you've got the culture of challenging somebody beyond something, then challenge. If you've got a humorous culture that's just going to leave them being able to forget about something for a period of time, make them laugh. If you've got an encouraging culture, encourage them, make them feel better because they came in contact with you, but make them feel something. And if you can make them feel something that's going to give them some level of comfort and comfort in themselves and confidence in you, you'll find your content rising to the top in crazy times.
That's so good. And the other thing I wanted to touch on really quick was, and because this just came up yesterday with a client, they called and we were talking a little bit about, keeping in the back of keeping in mind that in the back of people's mind, there's still really, I don't really know how to feel about,
yes.
we don't know what to believe anymore. There's so much information about everything, but we're still going to err on the side of caution.
Yep.
Keeping in mind everything you just said, bringing that into it, also with everything that's going on with COVID-19 right now and stuff, you should still 100% be talking about protocols to keep people safe. And I asked somebody, one of our clients, I said, hey, what are you doing, or what can we put up that is continuously talking about people, showing people that you're being safe, you have protocols in place. And he was telling me about this long list of things that they're doing, but he wasn't communicating any of that
right.
to their client base. And I said, well, I think we should put this out there. And he goes, yeah, but really everybody that I'm coming in contact with when I'm there, they're not really concerned about it. They're saying, hey, we're not really worried about it. I said, what about all the people that you're missing that aren't even
right.
picking up the phone and calling you because you're not talking about that?
And because this has become a political issue, we have to be careful with this one, because you can put, if you've got somebody who is, and keep in mind, I'm going to say something real quick, because if you're super pro mask right now, you're not going to like what I have to say, and I want you to hear it anyway. And if you're like super anti-mask right now and you're like, nobody should ever tell me what to do whatsoever, and I can fall into that camp sometimes. I'm like, I'm an adult, leave me alone. I get both of those things. Don't let yourself be so frustrated by this that you can't hear what I'm about to say. We have to, for people who need the safety and the comfort of what that provides, we have to speak to those people and let them know that we're going to do that. To the people who, and we can balance this, by the way. You're never going to make everybody happy, but you can make most people happy, is the way I'm going to word this. And it doesn't have to be 50%. For the people who are, you're not going to tell me what to do, you can find yourself being a great example of this. While I was gone, I went into a restaurant. It literally said, no mask, no service, exclamation point, like 12 exclamation points. And I thought, this is literally the most rude way of wording this possible.
Sure.
If I either already had a mask on, and so your sign was just kind of rude, or I didn't have a mask on, and that's the way you're going to tell me. So that was a lost opportunity. They easily could have said, hey, because first of all, they could have just blamed it on the government, because the government said in that city, you have to. So they could have just said, due to, city ordinance, this, we're asking that you wear a mask. Asking for people to do something is telling them to do it politely.
Yep.
We're asking that you put a mask on when you come into our business is letting people know, put a mask on, but you're doing it in a nice, proper way. Whatever you're doing safety-wise, if you require another great example of this is, I was in a place one time and they literally squirted, like I was holding my hand out for a pen and they squirted a hand sanitizer into my hand. Just didn't ask me anything, didn't say anything, just squirted it into my hand. It goes everywhere, of course, got on my pants and all that kind of stuff. All they had to do was say in that moment, hey, we're doing this before we hand anybody pens because we're just being extra careful around here. Here, I'm going to put some hand sanitizer in your hand. But they had just done it so many times that they became familiar with it, and as a result, they forgot. Hey, I'm a person that you haven't done this to before, and you have no clue. I may have already done it. I may have a skin issue. You have no idea. You literally just squirted it into my hand, and so we have to be careful that while we're keeping people safe, we're not isolating people. We can do it all. We can keep people safe. We can not isolate them. We can make them feel welcome, and we can encourage them. We can require them to be safe. We can just do it in a way that where they don't feel like they were mommied and daddied.
Yeah.
If you got a 45-year-old walking into your business, they do not want to feel like their mommy and their daddy checking up on them, making sure, or their teacher when they were in second grade. We got to learn how to lead people, not yell at people and demand from people. We have to learn how to lead people. Sometimes it's people forgot. Sometimes it's people have a conviction not to. But I have found 99.9% of the time, people are willing to kind of team up and comply, especially if it's done so in a way that is speaking to people and leading them as opposed to mandating them to do something. So we kind of took this and went a little bit of a different direction with it than which is good. We kind of took this on a bit of a rabbit trail here. But if we're talking about safety stuff, man, be careful to word that stuff in such a way that you let people know what the expectations are, but at the same time, they don't feel like they were isolated, that their thoughts didn't matter, that kind of stuff. We can lead without yelling at people. We really can.
Yeah, that's so good. So hey guys, just wrapping this up, I would really encourage you to think outside the box, right? So if you have a clientele and they're coming to you, whether that's left leaning, right leaning, wear masks, don't wear masks, safety all the time, I'm not so worried about it, and you have one particular set of client coming in every day, think outside the box. I know for us, and I know for a lot of other people, we're not just happy with the clients that we have coming in. We're always looking to expand our business. And so think outside the box. How do we reach out and help more people? And it may require us to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, but it also means that we're going to help more people. We're also going to be the leader in the community, and we're going to give people another opportunity to do business with us where maybe they weren't necessarily expecting to or whatever, but you open that door for them because you didn't exclude them. So if you like this podcast, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.